patents are like really interesting to me because you have to prove what's different, and sometimes it's big and sometimes it's
It's
subtle.
a very small detail.
Yeah. Earmuff weather this weekend.
Yeah.
Things dip down after Friday.
Yeah, they have ear bags. You seen those?
Your
What?
bags.
They're like the earmuff without the
Oh, they kind of go around the back of your head.
or
right?
nothing, where they just
Just
sit
a
on
little-
it, just
really?
free form. Yeah.
It's just a bag?
My wife has them because they don't they don't mess
the
up your hair.
Right.
But you know what? None of that's going to work on Friday.
It'll
Yeah,
blow
it
right
doesn't
off.
matter what it's not. Nothing's going to not mess up your hair on Friday. Here's a look at the radar. The storm's starting to develop out into the central plains, northern plains, and going to link up with this low down across the southeast. And there's going to be our storm, which we talked about yesterday, is historically going to be a very deep and large storm system, one of the strongest ones we've seen in about 5-10 years, depending on how you want to measure that. So before it gets here, the rest of today and into tonight, fine, clear, 20s, teens out there tonight, and then tomorrow's a cloudy day, but not a whole lot going on here. Temperatures into the mid-30s mostly. A couple upper 30s are possible too, and then here comes our storm. I took this model and I just slowed it down several hours because I thought it was too fast just to get a better onset time with this precipitation, which I think comes in during the evening on Thursday, but relatively later evening. Stays snow in the mountains a little longer than we thought yesterday or the day before, which is good news for them, as they'll see at least some snow before the rain arrives. The rest of us, it's rain right from the onset. Temperatures push to the upper 40s to around 50 degrees. Heaviest winds are probably going to be in the morning hours over southern and western Maine, and the middle of the day, mid-coast, and then the early afternoon over down east Maine. You can see some really heavy downpours in here. Within that, we'll see our heaviest wind gusts as well, and it will change over to rain into the mountains, even though they get a little bit more snow on the front end. And then this whole thing is out of here Friday night, and we're into the freezer after that for Saturday morning. Most of us in the teens and some single digits too. So no real changes to our wind gust map here. I still think we're on track to 65 to 70 miles an hour over the mid-coast and down east Maine, with 55 to 65 all the way down to the coastline here, and then 45 to 55 inland. I think if you're in this orange zone, you'll be in the more scattered power outage zone. If you're looking along the coastline, I think they'll be pretty widespread unless something changes here, which so far it isn't. Southeast winds will come in during the peak here. Snow, though, an improvement. So instead of a complete annihilation of skiers, it'll only be a partial one, but this initial snow will help, and then the rain comes on top of it, which looks like it'll be about 2 inches in a lot of spots. One thing that is unfortunate, guys, is because the time we moved up a little bit now, the strongest winds in southern Maine do coincide with that high tide. 10:16 a.m. is the high tide. I think we'll see some fairly significant flooding, and I don't think it's going to be just the usual spots. So the National Weather Service has issued a coastal flood watch. You know, there's some areas we know. Right? You go down on the wharf off Commercial Street, you go down to Camp Ellis, those will flood, but I think we'll see a little bit more than that because of the wind situation. And then into the freezer on Saturday is what I put. Everything freezes over. That has its own set of issues. A lot of salt trucks, hopefully, if they're listening, will be out Friday night, Saturday, and then Christmas is fine. Hopefully, most of us have power back by then.
Hey, fingers crossed for that one. And
Yeah.
then next week looks decent as well.
It looks pretty good.
Off
A
to a
little
good start
chilly,
for the week.
quiet, nothing really going on, and we actually look pretty warm for the end of the year.
Okay.
So this might be the most significant thing for a while
See
here.
for a while. That would be the good news. All right, Keith, thanks.